We are actually offering a seller finance loan at 2.99%. It's an interest-only loan where you can come in and buy property. If you are a Canadian and you were wondering, like, how does the tax and legal way work? Do I need an LLC set up? We work through you. It's not overly complicated, and we've done this many times with many international investors. So we'll walk you through all of that.
Hello and welcome to the Real Deals Show.
Today's going to be an awesome one. We are actually introducing you to one of the partners who we buy deals from. It is a done-for-you service.
So if you want to invest where returns are best, make sure to stay for the entire video. I'm Mel.
I'm Dave.
And we're the investor couple. We specialize in buying properties using none of our own money and no joint venture partners.
We do this in 5 different countries: Canada, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican Republic. We've now purchased over 240 units using creative financing and OPM.
Other people's money.
Today, we're going to be talking with Zach from Rent to Retirement. We'll be discussing which markets to invest in, how done-for-you properties work, and why we did it.
We'll also be talking a little bit about our Ohio purchase that we recently purchased as well. So let's get started. Zach, thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Yeah, Mel, Dave, it's a pleasure. I love speaking to you guys always and engaging with your community. You guys have built the best real estate community I've dealt with. So it's fun stuff. Thanks for having me.
That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, so guys, proud to introduce you to our listeners, our viewers, Zach from Rent to Retirement, who we are doing business with and is a friend. But yeah, Zach, before we kind of talk about real estate and all the other things done for you and what markets, which is going to be an awesome show today, if you could please let our listeners know, who's Zach, right? A little bit more behind the scenes, so they get to know you a little bit more.
I'd be happy to. And yeah, I am excited to talk about some of the best cash flow and appreciation markets in the US that we're investing in, because it's a dynamic market out there. But appreciate the opportunity for the intro, Dave and Mel. For everyone listening, my name is Zach Lemaster. I'm the founder and owner of Rent to Retirement, which is the nation's leading turnkey provider, which we're proud to say over the past decade plus of being in business. But, I have a background in something outside of real estate, as many of us do. People usually don't come into real estate, as their initial idea of what they want to do with their life, but we find ourselves here. But I have a background in healthcare. So my wife and I are optometrists by education. Went to school in Portland, Oregon. That's where we met. My wife's Canadian, and she went to school in the U.S. I went into the Air Force for 7 years after I graduated optometry school, because I was on Air Force scholarship. So I practiced optometry as a captain in the Air Force for 7 years. Was stationed in a few different locations, and eventually we moved out to Denver, Colorado, which is where we still reside. And we worked in private practice, but eventually we were able to retire from our career paths early in life by investing in real estate, strategically investing in some of the best locations and building our teams and systems in those areas. My first house that I bought in my first year in the Air Force was a duplex, lived in half, rented out the other half. But my wife and I, we just kept investing every single year. We built a flipping business, wholesaling business, managerial business. But eventually we learned, Mel and Dave, that investing in the best locations across the U.S., not just focusing on our local properties, because that's what we were comfortable with, but actually choosing markets based on what was best for our goals and criteria, and where the best opportunity was, allowed us to expedite our goals and retire early from our career paths. And then we had a lot of people that came to us and said, "Hey, we see what you're doing in real estate. We want to do the same thing. Like, can we invest with you, or can you help us?" And then so that kind of led us to the foundation of the company Rent to Retirement, where we basically help people build their own portfolio, buying turnkey properties that are either renovated and newly built, leased, and managed by our teams in some of the best markets today. And so that's about as quick as of an intro as I can give you.
And I love it. From optometrist to investor to this amazing business owner as well. And behind the scenes here for our listeners, we've known about Zach for a while. We were getting his emails for many years. But we never really looked into it until one of our business partners said, "You have to be talking with this guy more regularly here, Dave." You want to share a little more?
It's funny because I still remember, again, Zach, I signed up to your mail list probably, like a year or 2 years ago. And then I know I've told you this story already before, but then, yeah, we're saying our bandwidth is a little squeezed right now. The team is pressed for time, but we want to always continue buying because it's time in the market, not timing the market. And he said, "Why don't you do a done for you deal?" And we're like, "Done for you? What exactly does that mean? Can you?" He said, "I'll introduce you to the best, and we work with them, we deal with them too." And he's like, yeah, he introduced us to Rent to Retire. I'm like, oh, I'm on their email list. I've already been getting their emails. So it's a small world, especially in the real estate world. I loved it. The other thing too, Zach, I love what you just said is not many people just kind of wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be a real estate investor, right? At 18 years old, they typically have a previous life. And it's almost as though life kind of not squeezes you or pushes you into that direction, but you start to realize that it kind of funnels you into the real estate world. And if you're watching this and you're like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm currently in my 9 to 5. I'm doing my thing. And I've got this calling for real estate, or I haven't done a deal yet, or I'm looking at doing my next deal, but I'm squeezed for time and I don't know what to do, right? Because it could be a big step. Zach, if you could kind of, I guess, determine or explain a little bit more, what exactly is the done for you model? Like, what can they expect when if they contact you, please?
Absolutely. And I just want to touch on one of your points though, Dave. You're 100% correct, right? Everyone listening to this podcast, everyone within your community as a whole, especially your Action family, people that are listening to this type of education and taking action on real estate investing, we're all part of this entrepreneurial group that wants more. You want something more, right? You're not being complacent. You're not one of these majority people in the masses that are just doing what we've been taught in school to do, which is just give your money to whatever and a retirement vehicle and hope for the best. Hope that you're in good enough health to retire and the market is timed right so you can maybe have a chance of retirement late in life. But all of us want more. And so I do want to commend everyone that's just a part of your community too, that we're all taking action. And there's 1,000 different ways you can invest in real estate. And what we found is there's a lot of cool, exciting things you can do, but ultimately to build wealth in rental real estate, it comes down to holding property over time. Time is your biggest asset, especially if you're invested in the best locations where you have strong appreciation in the properties and rents over time. You get the tax benefits and the compounding effect of using leverage. Just owning rental real estate consistently over time. It's not a complicated process. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but doing it strategically and intentionally is really important. So what we do for our investors is, we work in the turnkey space, which this is a huge buzzword. It's like, what is turnkey? And everyone's using it. But turnkey to us is first we identify the best locations to invest throughout the United States. We work in the US. And so these are areas where we have landlord friendly legislation, low taxes, future population and economic growth, diversity of industries, high rent to price ratios, where we get good cash flow numbers. We want to be in the path of progress where you can build a sustainable portfolio long term. We go into these areas and we build our own personal portfolio and our teams in these areas to allow other investors to come in and easily buy properties. These are properties that are newly built or fully renovated, leased, and professionally managed by our teams. So an investor can come in and build their own portfolio in these areas passively, somewhat passively. I use that term loosely because you still got to be somewhat involved, but it's generally more passive. So investors like yourselves, like you have 1,000 different irons in the fire, right? You have your business, you have all these different real estate deals you're working on, but still it's like you have disposable capital. You want to invest that, you still have your active deals. And so this is an easy way for you to diversify and scale your own portfolio. Or if you're a newer investor getting started, this is an easy way for you to come in and buy properties, have a team guide you through the whole process, hold your hand, make sure you have established teams and systems in place, and set you up for success. That's kind of the idea.
Well, I love it. And you're bang on. If for busy investors who already have a large portfolio and time is an issue, well, perfect. It's done for you, right? You're going to save some time so you can focus on the growth. And also for new investors, I wish we would have met years ago, because I did have some fear about going in different countries at first, for example. And a lot of my students and a lot of people do as well. But if we would have met back then, knowing that I have a team, it's not just Dave and I anymore. I have the team. You've done the research. You have property managers that you can reach out to, and all those people in place who would have taken some of that fear away. So I can just go ahead and get into that market, because you're bang on. I love that you're investing where returns are best. That's why we're investing all over now. It's exactly that, right? You don't have to invest where you live. You just have to make sure to do your due diligence and working with the right teams as well.
Absolutely. I love it 100%. Also, it's like, I remember when I was stationed in North Dakota. I tell people I was deployed in North Dakota because it was such a desolate location, but it wasn't a great investment market, but we were successful just investing there. But yeah, the thing that really changed the trajectory and success of our investment portfolio, saying, hey, like we can invest, like why not invest in other markets that may even be, you know, cheaper and offer better returns and set us up for success. And so, you know, we've really been successful by intentionally choosing where the best location is, and that changes over time, because the real estate, I mean, it's a dynamic marketplace, and especially in the United States, there's so many different submarkets, right? Just from a tax and legal perspective, but also, you know, like there's this huge population shift going on in the United States right now. And I mean, we could talk about this all day, but after COVID, people are moving, like they want to work from home. They're moving out to secondary and tertiary markets where, I mean, there's just being aware of that. Like we've already done all that market research for you and have provided you properties to invest in. So right now we invest mainly in the Midwest and Southeast is kind of our two geographic locations. We work across, I don't know, 12 or 13 different markets, probably more at this point, but we invest in single family or small multi. We do have new development, new construction. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit, or some creative financing options we're seeing right now, because I think that would interest a lot of people. But you know, we're in this unique space where we, you know, we've had this kind of crazy dynamic change in interest rates, but there's still a lot of interesting options out there, you know, like 2 or 3% seller finance loans or investor loans where you can put as little as 5% down. People are like, well, no, you have to put 20 and 25% down or more. It's like, that's actually not the case. You know, there's many options out there. It's just about, I mean, that's what our company tries to do, is educate people on their options and help them accomplish their goals.
Yeah, you have so many great options, and I'd love to tap into these examples. For example, one or two deals, because we always like looking at numbers, of course. But before we do so as well, for our listeners who are thinking, okay, this sounds interesting, and I'd love to have a, you know, see what it looks like, look at some off. I know you have a lot of off-market deals as well. And those who follow us, they know that yes, we work with investor focus agents, but we definitely love finding off-market deals as well. So this is a great opportunity to do so, and I'll put a link in the bio as well, where you can go and check out some of these buildings, but it's investmentupdate.com/deals. So if you put in your name there, you'll be able to see some of these deals as well.
And the biggest thing, so Zach, you mentioned it earlier, and Mel, you touched on it as well. So if you're listening or watching this and you are thinking, okay, I am fearful, right? Which self-acknowledgement is huge. I still remember like Mel said, if we had met 5 years ago, Zach, we would have been investing in the US a lot sooner, right? So if you are having that fear, or you're thinking, I don't have time to research, or I don't know the process, like, this is the cool thing. Zach and his team have done this for you. You get to piggyback their experience. They've trailblazed it for you, and you actually get to invest in the markets, like he said, secondary, tertiary. We say that all the time. So if you guys have been following us for a while, you know that that's where we invest. And then they will walk you through the process. Selfishly, you get to learn while someone's holding your hand, walk you through, and then you'll be able to acquire assets. So that fear factor is almost a moot point. Okay. So I love that we had touched on that. Zach, you're in about what? I think it's like 12 or 15 different markets, or is that what you're
Yeah, like some of the Midwest markets would be Ohio, like where you guys are investing. And just to be clear, I mean, you guys, like, we met through, you know, business relationships. You found your way on our list somehow, so that means our marketing is working. But you know, you invested with us, right? So you're actually speaking from an experience level. You're having a good experience, and you're like, hey, our community would probably benefit from learning about this way to invest in addition to all the other things they're doing. And so that's the reason we're here. And you made it very clear to me, like, hey, we want to make sure we have a good experience, but also this is something that would probably benefit a lot of people in our community. And so that's why we're on this call. And so I think, I mean, we love working with investors, from newer investors to, you know, some really successful full-time investors that just need additional tax benefits and just need to grow their portfolio. But yes, Dave, we work in the Midwest. So those would be like Ohio, where you guys are at, Indiana, Missouri, Michigan. We move more towards the Southeast. Now the Southeast is more where we focus on like build to rent, so new construction. And contrary to popular belief, you can buy investment properties that are done for you that have positive cash flow, are in a B or A class area, so a good location with good tenants, and have immediate equity. So there's, especially, this is really true of new construction right now, where we have more inventory availability that maybe we didn't have a year or two ago, where you can buy below market deals that have strong appreciation, like double-digit cash on cash return and double-digit appreciation year after year, both in rents and market value. So it's just, that's why location is so important to invest in. Some of those markets would be like Texas and Florida, Carolinas, Alabama. We have some, as we mentioned, some of the seller financing. Like we are actually offering a seller finance loan at 2.99%. It's an interest-only loan where you can come in and buy properties. You still need to put money down on that property, 25% down, but like your cash flow, your cash on cash return goes above 20% with that because it's an interest-only loan where like the average cash flow on a single family house that maybe is 280,000 is cash flowing like $900 a month on average net. And so that's a great return. And then in a couple of years, you can, probably refinance that long term. You could sell it again. I mean, there's a lot of things, but we work with you to build your goals and identify like what are the best options. Or if you have limited capital, maybe an option where you're putting less money down, is a good option for you. There's a lot of different options out there, both on, asset classes, locations, financing options. If you are a Canadian and you were wondering like, how does the tax and legal way work? Do I need an LLC set up? We work through you. It's not overly complicated. And we've done this many times with many international investors. So we'll walk you through all of that. And the point is there's options for everyone.
Now, investing with secured funds, RSPs, for example, we're all about creative financing. I'm loving the 2.99 seller financing as well. And there's a lot of different things. Some students or some listeners may have a lot of money and they're just wanting to put it to work and have their own assets so they can reap the benefits of it. So there's lots of great options there as well. For those who are wanting to use a little bit more of the creative financing side, it's really going after these specific markets and certain deals, correct?
Yeah, I think, and I know you guys are, high advocates for other people's money, right? And that's and creative finance in general, which, you can be so creative in real estate. That's like your creativity, like removes a barrier to being able to do a lot of things in real estate because otherwise capital is the most limiting factor for all of us, right? You can only put down payments on so many properties. And if you had $1 million, to invest in a large portfolio, you could retire tomorrow, but most people are not in that position. So we have a lot of people that want to use like creative finance or other people's money. Like we don't care, like you do need money to buy properties to some extent. That can be other people's money. That can be retirement vehicles. That could be equity in a property. That could be a line of credit. That could be bringing in a partner to actually partner with you on the deal. There's 1,000 different ways that your community is great about finding those creative ways to do that. But yeah, for example, if your plan was to buy a property and then, use other people's money as a down payment, you can absolutely do that. You just need to be conscious, like what is the plan to exit that and pay your hard money lender back or your private money lender back? Like, is it a 2-year hold? Is it a 3-year hold? Probably you want to be invested in a market where you have a little bit of immediate equity, where you're not going to be able to refi maybe the next day, but in a short period of time, you likely could. For example, maybe you use this, 95% LTV loan where it's a 5% down. Well, maybe if you can't qualify for that for whatever reason immediately, maybe use other people's money to buy that initially, season it, so own it for a year, and then do a cash out refi with that loan product and pay your private money lender back. Or, if you can qualify for that in the beginning, you really maybe don't need other people's money if it only requires 5% down. We also offer creative things like second loans, second mortgages on properties as well. This is on specific inventory. Like for this product, it's new construction in Alabama only. And we build out throughout the entire state. We're down to the Gulf Coast, up near Huntsville and Birmingham, which is some of the hottest markets in the Southeast. But, my point is I'm going kind of on a lot of little tangents because for time purposes, I want to spark some ideas with the listeners. And if you want to learn more, the process is we set up a consultation with you. We don't charge investors anything. We make our money through building properties and rehabbing them, but and selling them to investors where it makes sense for you as a long-term buy and hold cash flow scenario. So that is there's easy ways to make this a win-win scenario. But if you're interested to learn more, go to the link that Mel mentioned, which was investormelDave.com/deals with an S. And then that will get you access to our off-market deals. Let us know you're coming from the Mel and Dave community because we are offering closing cost credits, like a $200 closing cost credit for everybody that comes from your community.
Love that, Zach.
Well, and I know that you guys it's important, right, that you're doing everything you can to set your community up for success. And we love to see that. And we want to be an integral part of that. We want investors to be successful because this is a lifelong journey, right? In real estate investing, we want people to come in and have a good experience and be successful because then they'll come back to us to buy, 10 or 20 properties. Most people buy multiple properties at once because they're building a portfolio. There's economies of scale. I mean, if you live in an expensive market where it's like, the average home price is, $500,000 or possibly even more, like, like where you guys are at. I mean, there's some markets where you can still have strong appreciation cash flow where the average house price is, like for a new construction A-class property is $250,000, right? So it's all relative to where you're at. But yeah, we'd love to work with anyone. If you have questions, I mean, go to that link. We'll be happy to work with you to identify like your investment goals, look at the different markets and options, and talk about some of these creative financing options.
Okay, and hopefully you picked up on what Zach was just saying at the end there too, the price point, because we have people that are living in hot markets, whether it's, for example, Toronto or British Columbia, or if you're in Miami or California, and you're thinking, okay, this sounds great, but 5% and, seller financing 2.99%, but like how much money or what's the purchase price? This is the beautiful thing about the rent to retirement. And I'll full disclosure here, I think our place in Ohio was somewhere around like the 150 mark. Zach and I were discussing last night, Mel, some places and again, this is at the time of the recording, some places in Florida, right? 4-bedroom house for just over $300,000. So if you're thinking, I can't even buy a condo, or I can't even get one door for less than 500 or $1 million, this is what I love about the rent to retirement and the done for you is they are affordable, right? Like if you're looking for cash flow and you're looking to acquire multiple assets, these are assets that, yes, cash flow, and you can do it multiple times over because the price point is very attractive. Okay. So again, like Zach said, it's a free call. It's a free consultation. We really enjoyed ours. We went through some goals. Even as seasoned investors, it was still cool to go through the call, go through the consult, get to know the team.
Before we do any kind of business with anyone, I mean, after the introduction that we had, my first thing was looking you up and finding out and looking at your reviews. And then we met and we interviewed and we met your team and went through the entire process. But it was great. It was during summertime. We were busy. One daughter's off to college. We're traveling, doing all these things. And yet we were still able to acquire property. Because again, you already have the system in place. You're taking a lot of the work off me, which is exactly what I wanted this summer was more relaxation time. Yet I still wanted to continue to grow my portfolio. Yeah,
I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? I think you do, whether you're a newer investor and you, it seems it's normal to get analysis paralysis and like have the fear, right? It's daunting to invest out of state. And I'm here to tell you, it's the same process, right? Like going through our system, we've already built those teams and systems in these areas that have been with a proven track record. And real estate, yes, you're owning real estate. So to be clear, like the investor is buying physical real estate. You're building your own portfolio, and we're assisting you through all the steps involved in that to set you up for success and to help you long term to make sure that property is performing. But you're still owning rental real estate. You could be subject to tenant issues and things like that, but you're not having to deal with those like as a landlord, right? So you have a managerial team where it's like, hey, if a tenant's behind on rent, they're going to deal with it. If they got to do maintenance and repairs, they will do that. And they'll always keep you educated on how the property's performing, and you're the owner, so you have influence on how those things are done and communicated, and the ultimate decisions that are made. But this is a scalable model where if you're a brand new investor and you like your local market doesn't make sense because it's too expensive or the returns aren't attractive, or if you just don't want to be involved in buy and hold rental real estate, which at some point I think everyone gets to that point where it's like, I'd rather own rental real estate and not have to think about it so much, and just reap the benefits from it, then this is an easy way for you to get started out of state, or grow your portfolio if you're just a busy person, which most of us are, so.
Yeah, it is hard. And I remember my younger days when we first started, we were very, very hands-on. We used to do the dump runs and the cleaning and all those things. And we did what we had to do back then, because we didn't know any better essentially, but being able to be more hands-off. And when I say hands-off, of course, although we have lots of properties, we still oversee them, right? Even if you have a property manager in place, nobody's going to care about your building as much as you do. That's the reality. However, it's a lot easier to say, no, go back and make sure this is complete and then do it, as opposed to you spending your whole weekend there, right? A conversation that doesn't take too much time.
Yeah, I look back and I think about the same thing with us, and like that's okay. That's okay to start hands-on and like you get good experience from that. But I found, at least for me, I found out early on that like I'm not the best property manager myself, right? I mean, I was too nice with tenants, probably got taken advantage of, wasn't strict, probably didn't vet them the right way. While I did all the repairs on my first few rentals, I was not the best person doing repair. Like my time was more valuable spent on like building my business and like, focusing on, or just with my family, right? Like, see, my family life suffered a little bit with, trying to find that balance, work-life balance. But, what I've realized over time too, though, which has really helped us be successful, is like a lot of us go and trying to force equity in property, and you can, like, that's, again, real estate is great because you can do creative things like that, but also just investing in the right location, like you can get some of those same benefits without having to do as much heavy lifting. For example, in some of the markets, and that's why we're so keen on doing market research and just like finding the right locations to invest. Florida, for example, last year had over a 2% population growth, and Texas is the same way. Like there's just areas where you have such a discrepancy of supply and demand that if you just buy a house in the path of progress, just whether it's a new construction house or just like a decent house in the right area, you may not have to touch it and just let the market appreciate. Like we're still seeing double-digit appreciation numbers in Southwest Florida and some of these markets, even in current market conditions, just because supply and demand. And we specifically choose locations where you're below the median house price point across the US, which is roughly around 400,000 right now, and you have above the median household income around that $60,000 range or higher. And so this means that we're going to have a large demographic of people that can afford rents, and that the houses have a lot of room for appreciation. So yeah, the average house price in the Southeast may be, $300,000, and rents are between, on some of those, $2,500 a month. It's like, man, that can produce a double-digit cash on cash return, but also allow for strong appreciation, is not subject to market variation. But we're letting the market do what it does for us and grow that equity over time versus having to swing hammers. And I mean, I could go on and on about that, but we hear location, like, yeah, but what does that mean? There's a lot of different things from a macro and microeconomic scale. Just being in a good location, though, I think that is what is going to, good locations with the right teams, like that's a recipe to success long term. Like if you do nothing else, just focus on that consistently over time, you're bound to be a millionaire in rental real estate. It's inevitable if you do it consistently.
Exactly, Zach. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what did Zach just say, right? Peeling back that onion, this is why it's important. If this is something you want to do, why not book a call, and again, with them, with their team, and explain to them, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need, this is how much money I have, and they will literally be able to quarterback and say, these are the markets I think you should invest in, these are the types of assets we believe that will make you the best. And because I know, Zach, like obviously we understand everything you're saying. Some people might be going cash on cash in the path of progress, like, oh, I should know all this. You don't,
out of all these places, where should I invest?
You don't need to know all that. Again, this is why investing in a done for you service like Zach is providing, it takes away all that for you, right? And you'll be you'll be chatting about on the call. So don't feel like you need to know everything. You just need to know where to go to be able to access that information. And the people that can do it for you, contacts like these are priceless. Okay, again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to understand how to do it all, but you just need to know who to chat with and who to reach out to.
Well, I always say finding deals is so important, right? If you're only looking at 3 deals a week and your neighbor is looking at 30, statistically speaking, who's going to win? Probably the person looking at more deals. And that's why I love finding off-market deals as well. And that's why, I love the list that you share with us and with our community as well. Because we're finding more deals. There's always new deals to look at. I can go pull it up today, and there's going to be something new since the last time I looked at it, right? Which is really nice too.
Yeah, at any given point in time, we'll have between 40 to 60 properties for sale across the U.S. Again, these are off-market deals. We only exclusively sell to our community and our partners like you guys. And so, you get access to those deals that no one else does. And there's a lot of different deals. Like there's some multifamily on there. There's some single family. There's a lot of different price points in markets. That's a really good point, Mel, about just evaluating if there was if nothing else, just for practice purposes, taking a look at a snapshot on a weekly basis or whatever, and kind of looking at, 50 deals that are right in front of you there's some analysis already done for you, of course, but it's important to go through the steps of, building out your own goals and analysis. But that's just good practice. I've never thought of that. I'm glad you mentioned that. And Dave, to your point, yeah, I mean, we're covering a lot just for time purposes because we want to spark a lot of interest and cover, some creative things. But yes, if you're interested, like we back up, I have a whole team of investment strategists that are real estate professionals that have been investing for a long time. And we go through this slow, right? Everyone is in a different position financially, from their goals, their timeline, their resources. We want to understand you. We want to take it from a personal approach, and we want to learn from you. So like during that first 30-minute consultation call, what we do is we first ask a lot of questions because we want to know about you, and we want to know about your goals and criteria. And then, we'll answer your questions as well about us, about turnkey investing, about investing in the US and the markets, and anything else that you have. But then we want to go through and let's build out a roadmap. And that may be investing in 6 or 12 months, or how do you raise capital with people potentially, or some other things you can do where maybe you didn't realize that you could tap into this HELOC or something like this. So we just want to take our time and work with each individual person to build a roadmap, and then ultimately execute those goals together, walking you through the whole process.
Yeah, Zach, I love it. Yeah, Mel and I, again, we have the one with you guys. It's not the only. There's going to be a lot more over the course of the years. We're going to continue buying with Rent to Retirement. Absolutely love what you guys are doing. Love our experience with you. And the listeners, I know, will have the link in the bio, and we'll have it all over for you guys to book a call. So again, don't be shy. Like Zach said, go reach out to them, reach out to the team, lean on them. They've been doing this for a long time. They know their research.
investormelday.com/deals. Mention that we did the introduction. You'll also get a credit, which is as an investor, I always love saving money.
Who doesn't love that? Help on some closing costs.
But most importantly, look at some deals. And I'm sure just from your call alone, you're going to be learning some things as well. So Zach, thank you so much for taking time to join us and join the amazing Investor Melody community here as well. We really much appreciate your time, and we're super excited about our property as well.
Thanks so much, guys, for having me. Again, it's always a pleasure to just talk with you, and it's just the sincere effort that you put forward to everyone, to help everyone in your community to accomplish their goals. You're just doing some awesome people and changing lives, all the time, and that's very clear for me to see. And so, everyone that's following you guys and part of your community, they're doing the right thing. It takes action. You have to take steps. You can teach everything to people that you are, but ultimately it's up to the individual, right, to take action. And that's why I love your active action community, the action family. So again, pleasure's all mine. Thanks so much for having me, you guys. We're excited to help everyone else, learn about investing in some of the best cash flow and appreciation markets in the US and answer any questions they have.
Thanks so much, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Bye for now. Investing where returns are best, off-market deals, you gotta love it.
I love that you can actually contact them, have a 30-minute conversation, go through your goals, your fears, where you're at, and what exactly you need in real estate. Who doesn't want to have a 30-minute conversation about your goals and where you want to go in real estate?
Especially if you're investing where returns are best. That's the key to success in real estate as you grow your portfolio. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to let us know in the comments below. Hope you find it helpful. Make sure to give Zach a thumbs up as well. I'm Mel.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you in the next video.